Welcome to another video on daily algorithm challenge. In this video, we want to solve the problem, the dollar sign deletion. It is important to read the context so that we understand the problem we want to solve. So it says you are given an array of string containing alphabetical characters and certain dollar character. A dollar character represents delete action, whereby the character before it is deleted. Please take note of this part. It says a dollar symbol, right, represents a delete action, whereby the character before it is deleted. Okay. Each of these string will be run through a method to operate on the dollar delete action. We want to find out if the final string is the same for all of them. So let's take an example, right? So supposing they give us this, they give us an array with this, right? So we have st as the value and we have another one here. So when we delete this part, if we delete this part, the final answer should be every item in the list should be st. So this is going to be st and this is st. So it means every item in the array is st and therefore we should return true. Okay, let's look at this example. So we have the dollar sign here. So we're going to cut this out, cut this one out, and we're also going to cut this one out. Okay, so we are left with st, st, st. If all items in the list are the same, we should return true. We should return what? True. But if all the items are not the same, right? If all the items here are not the same, then we should return what? False. Okay, so this is pretty straightforward. All right, so let us go to the solution. So like I used to do, I'm going to copy the contents and go back to my VS Code. So I'm going to create a file. I'll call it $delete.py. Paste everything I have copied and create some space. All right, so guys, for this approach, I'm going to run a function. I'm going to create an helper function, and the helper function, what it will do is to delete every item with the dollar sign and its previous item. Okay, so let us see that in action. So the first thing I'll do is to create my helper function. So I want to create it at the bottom here. So I'm going to create the helper function. This is going to be my helper function. It's going to accept word, index, and the array. Okay. So the next step I want to do is to loop through every character in the array. So for every character, which is I also need the index. So that's why I'm looking through the index here. So for every index and character in enumerate of the word. Okay. So this is going to give me the index and the character in a particular word. Okay, so I'm going to check if the character is equal to the dollar symbol. I want to cut out the beginning to where the dollar symbol is. So to do that, I'm going to do the word, right? So the word, then I want to cut out the index. So from the index, so I'm going to do +1, then cut it to the end. Okay, so I need to assign this to a variable. So I'm going to assign this to a variable. So the new word will be equal to this. Okay, so this new word will be from, so supposing I have a word like this, let me put a comment here. Supposing, okay, let me put it by this side. Okay, supposing I have a word like this, I have a dollar symbol and A, B, D. Okay, so this is going to give me this part. So that is why I added I plus 1. So do not pick the very item. So if I did not put this 1, if I did not put this 1, it's going to give me this part, including the dollar sign. So, but because I don't want the dollar sign, so I'm going to add plus 1. Okay. So the next thing I want to do is to replace the array, the item of the array in place. Okay. So in that array, then the index, which is the IDX, not the inner index this time. So which is the input index, you can see that here. Set the new item, the new word. So this will now replace the word. So if I have this in that array, this will replace it with this part in the array. Okay, so this method you are seeing here is what? Setting an item in place. Okay, so otherwise, just do nothing. Okay, so this is what this helper function will do. All right, so now let us write the main code. So in this place, I want to loop for every index in word. Okay, sorry, for every index word in the given array. Okay, so I'm going to call the helper function to perform its duty. So the helper function needs 3 parameter. Okay, so I'm going to pass it here as an argument. And when it gets here, these are the parameter. So let me pass it here as an argument. So if you look at this, you see the first one is word. Okay, followed by index and followed by the array. So I'm going to pass it word, index, and the array. So now the helper function has make the array, has clean up the array, right? It is now left for us to check if the item we have is actually the same with all. Okay, so what I want to do is to pick the first word. So the first word will be the first item of the array, which is the first word. Okay, now I want to loop and compare every item if they are the same. So every item I want to compare with the first word if they are the same. So for every word in the array, okay, so if the first word is not equal to the word in the array, this means all the items in the array are not the same. So what I'll just do is to return false. So if we look through everything and this particular edge case is not met, that means every item in the list are the same. Okay, so I will just return true. Okay, let me clear some space and let us run this. I believe it's going to work, so let me run this. So I'm going to run. Okay, there is an error. There is an error, and let us see what is going on. Okay, let me see. Sorry guys, I've seen the problem. So the problem is coming from here. I am looping through an index and word without enumerate. So there should be enumerate here. Okay, let me correct that. Sorry about that. Okay, so I believe it should work. Let me save and run again. Now we failed 2 tests. Okay, we failed 2 tests out of 4. Okay, so let me see. We failed the first and second test. Let me see what is wrong again. I'm checking. Okay, I think I've seen the problem. So I added this loop inside this loop, and we should not be. So this loop should be a standalone loop. So let me move this back a little. Okay, just one indentation. So let me save and run again. Excellent. You can see we passed all the tests. We passed the first test, second, third, and fourth. Okay, guys. So now let us look at this. Okay, let me just copy this and put it on the platform. So I am going to put it on the platform. So I'm going to run this code. and I'm going to run and waiting for the results. I believe everything should work. Okay, it's taking time to come